Let's go. Let's go. And we are live. Ticker is ticking. The brother's in the house, and it must be Tuesday evening yet again. Another evening to be grateful. Another evening here with my brothers. Got all four of us here collabing. It's always a wonderful time when the grateful brothers get together. Got plenty to talk about tonight, including our interesting topic, which is how to be grateful when you see the fork in the road. And I know that sounds mysterious because usually when we see a fork, we usually think, which way should I go? It causes anxiety and overthinking and so much more. But from tonight's perspective, we're going to talk about how grateful we should be to even have options. But before we get into all that, I'm going to go around the horn and find out how my brothers are doing. And today I want to start out with my man John, because John always got something good to say. Talk to me, John. How you feeling tonight, man? What you
Man,
grateful for?
blessed and highly favored, man. There's too much to be grateful for, man. There's a lot going on right now in my life, from my relationships, my business, everything. Like it's moving a mile a minute, and I'm just trying to keep up. So I got to take them breaks, like me and Rob was talking about earlier, during the day. Quick little cat nap if I need to. So, but everything is good, man. The one thing I'll say is I'm really grateful for those unexpected um, little God kisses, like my brother Greg likes to say. Um, we sometimes we get too busy with life and circumstances and things and everything that's going on, and once in a while you have to look back for a second because something like touched you or gave you that little God kiss, like Greg says, and you're like, oh, you know what? I appreciate that. So yeah, man, I'm just thankful for those little moments.
Man, that's beautiful.
Let's see here. Let's go with my brother Rod. What's going on with you? What you grateful for?
First of all, I knew you were gonna call my name. I don't know how, man. You just feel it sometimes. It's like he's gonna call me. He's gonna call me.
Mhm.
I know it. What am I grateful for? Sheesh. I found myself being grateful for so many things. The list is so long. It's just when you write the list out for real, in your mind or on paper, it will literally humble you.
Mhm.
It will put you in a place where you realize how much you have to be grateful for. And it's like, I would be a fool to sit here and act like I'm not blessed and I'm not in a position to like thrive and do things. We get so caught up and focused on things that we don't have and things that aren't working out that we miss out on all the things that are. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And that list for me this week has been very lengthy in a way where like, man, I would take up the whole show to tell you what I'm grateful for. So I'm grateful for having a list that I can't read off because it's too long. It's too long for me to go down the path of what I'm grateful for. But yeah, that's what I'm grateful for. I'm gonna pass it off to my brother Greg because I know he ain't ready. He focused on 20 things, so I want to call on him and put him on the spot.
Yeah, man. And like you said, you could just sense it's coming. I knew he wasn't calling Brad, just like I knew John wasn't calling me. So I've been sitting here thinking, like, what are you grateful for? This is gonna shock people. And that's not the attitude to have, right? I'm not doing this gratitude as a performance. But the thing that kept coming up was evidence. I'm grateful for evidence, right? Because you could be going through a season in your life where the fruit isn't necessarily showing, the fruit of your labor. You're doing all this work, but nothing's happening. But it doesn't remove all the evidence you have of the high value skills you have, the things you've accomplished. Just because doors aren't opening right now doesn't mean they never will. It just means it's not time yet or you're not ready yet. Right? It's like pulling that fruit off the vine before it's ready, or grabbing a mango in the store when it's still green and trying to eat it. It's not going to be right. It's too ripe, right? Or is it ripe? Ripe is when it's ready. I don't know.
Yeah,
I never understood
you
that
got
one. So I, I'm grateful, and you just reminded me of the gratitude list. Like that's something I haven't done in a minute. With us professing like how to filter things through a lens of gratitude, it's just all been mental. I'm grateful for this time that we have to hold each other accountable, and that we get to share this with people who are meal prepping, who get to have this in their ear, right? That's a beautiful thing. Like, to see that come across the screen, I'm meal prepping, so this will be good to have in my ear. That's why we started going live, is so that people can start to filter their lives through a lens of gratitude. So I'm grateful that people actually spend their time with us, listening to us have this banter about what we're grateful for. With that said, I'm gonna pass it to Leonardo. Brad.
Hey, well, look, I mean, just to go off the floor, what you just said, man, just to count the small blessings. We got a guest in here who, like he stated, big nerd fashion. He's cooking, he's meal prepping. It's a blessing to be meal prepping. Some people can't prep a meal. Some people ain't got a meal to prep with. So that's a blessing I can take from that. But, you know, I got plenty, like each one of you gentlemen, that if I recount, we would take the entire episode. But today I want to focus on an experience that happened this past weekend that kind of aligns with the title, is what I was going to bring to the table. And that is, you know, being grateful when you have options, not to get frustrated and not to get overwhelmed when there's a fork in the road and you have to pick a direction. Sometimes the hesitancy can cause us to stay on the fence and not make a move at all, when if we just make a move in some direction, we'll either find out that it's the wrong direction, or we'll keep moving in that direction and find out that it actually was the right decision. So this past weekend, and I'm gonna be transparent on my end, I had a friend of mine reach out to me and ask if I was willing to go and, you know, help feed the homeless down in a park in DC, where we usually do it. We do it like month to month. But I know that the month of June and July in DC is nothing but heat and humidity. Like we got the weather of Florida, but we're up here in DC, and everybody says it's because we got a swamp, and yada yada. So in my mind, I was like, well, that's a negative. So it's kind of making me not want to go. Then rain was on the forecast, which means high humidity. And I looked at that, I was like, okay, now we got rain to deal with, and it's going to be high humidity, so that's going to pull all the sweat out of everywhere, and I'm going to be standing there. Seems more and more reasons why not to go, for my own discomfort, which was wrong. But then what I noticed is my friend kept being persistent and asking me, so are you going? So are you going? And it felt like it was God asking me through him, so you're going to go? So you're going to go? It doesn't matter how many excuses I got in my head that I didn't even express to him. The question was still, you gonna go? You gonna go? We went. Get down there, help set up. Not only are we there, but there's a protest going on. There's a hospital down there giving free blood pressure and blood tests, all in the same area. So it's like 4 different events going on in this small park. And the line of people who are homeless, our brothers and sisters who are a little less fortunate, was surrounding the entire block of the park.
Wow.
They were just moving from one station to the other, and we were providing them with food and with extra clothing. They put me in charge of men's shoes. I'm usually over some part of men's clothing. I'm never on the food. I want to be on food, but it's probably gonna make me hungry, so it's probably why they didn't put me there. So I'm in charge of men's shoes, and the brother who's running the thing, he's like, hey, look, bro, you can only put like 2 or 3 pairs of shoes out at one time, because if you put them all out, everybody's gonna come and just grab them, because some of them are new. You know what I'm saying? People just dropping off shoes. I had sizes 11 through 13. That doesn't fit most men, but men were coming through and trying to get shoes. And I remember that there was one Latino man, and he came through. I saw the look on his face when he was coming down towards me, and he had his eye on these pair of Nikes that I had just put out there. I saw his face light up when I put them down. And right when he reached out to grab them, another man who had been lurking for the past 10 minutes, waiting for me to put a pair of shoes up there that he liked, took one of the shoes, put it down next to his foot to measure it. And when he did that, he said, yeah, I'm gonna grab the other pair. And as soon as he did that, I saw the moment when that gentleman lost what he thought that he wanted, thought he was gonna get. His hand was right there, and he lost it. And I remember the memory of his face and his reaction, that nuance, that small moment, was just like, oh man, I've been there. I've been there when I've just missed an opportunity, and I realized it was right there, and I just didn't grab it in time. And I don't know what prevented me from grabbing it when I did. But whatever it was, I lost time. And then I had a big black trash bag full of shoes, which I purposely did not go into to see what was in there. I was just pulling them out as I needed to refill spaces, because I had 4. So now I had 3. So I went in there and I pull out a brand new pair of Nikes, like one shoe, brand new with the tag on it. Just a royal blue black, and it had a little bit of white around the trim, fresh. I pulled that joint out. I just pulled the soul of it out. I was like, oh, this is new. That same gentleman eyes lit right back up when he saw that shoe. I was like, hold on, let me get the other one. Let me make sure I can find the other one. Found both shoes, handed it to him. He just hugged them, and he hugged them with a silent gratitude that I cannot forget. As this was a pair of shoes, and I don't know how important that was to him. I don't know how long he was walking around with old shoes that he had on. Matter of fact, I didn't see the shoes that he currently had on because he was in front of the table, and I couldn't see over that to see his shoes. All I know is that when he saw that brand new pair of shoes, he grabbed them and he put them in the bag. And in that moment, the father was like, see, when you miss out on something and it ain't your fault, I got something better for you. Coming right around the corner. And as soon as that happened, I'm telling you, right now, I'm telling you guys with passion and with excitement. But when I recounted the same story to my mother, I broke down. I was just telling her, we were having morning worship, and I was talking to her, I was telling her, and when that part came up, because I remembered his face, man. And it just caused me to not only be grateful for the fact that I made the decision to go out there, be grateful for the fact that I chose the method to pull the shoes out as they were being taken. And it gave me the gratitude to be like, I made this man's day. I helped this brother out. And from that point on, I couldn't even tell you what happened the rest of the day. But I know this, from that lesson and what I saw with him, that caused me not to look at any choices or any forks in the road and be like, oh man, I'm gonna miss this opportunity, or I don't know which way to go. Just pick a way, or pick what you can, and whatever's coming after that, just know that the Most High got you. Because that's what he did with that gentleman, that's what he did for me, and that's what he's going to do with all of us, man.
He always does too.
Yeah.
Always does. What a powerful story. Gosh, I just had to jump right in because too many of us run into forks in the road, and by indecision, we're making a decision to not make a decision. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you're not moving, you're moving backwards in a sense. You know, I think you should absolutely be calculated. You should absolutely weigh the odds and all of that good stuff, right? But going in a direction you're either going to learn something or it's going to be the right direction. So it can't be the wrong direction as long as you're focused on the right thing. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, if you're giving up your time, your energy for somebody else, like in your situation, Brad, I mean, I think it's going to always prevail for the good one way or another. So dope story, man. Thank you for sharing.
Most of the time it's interesting. Yeah, Brad, thank you for the story. It's an excellent story. Most of the time we actually forget that we know which way we need to go. And we kind of like, and I say this a lot to a lot of my students and a lot of even you brothers, I know I've mentioned it before. We're too busy staying in the way, you know, and it's interesting because you'll hear it if you just pay attention, if you just stop for a second. But you can't stay there too long either, right? But if you stop for a second, you'll hear it, you'll hear him say, just keep going, or make a left, or make a right. Okay. But at the end of the day, where faith is involved, it's the knowing. It's not the belief that it's going to happen. So you got to know that whatever path you choose, you're still good as long as you're being obedient to that voice, you know, and being able to identify it and say, okay, because we do get intrusive thoughts, you know, we want to be, but that's just you. That's you getting in the way. So if you're mindful of that, you hear the voice, you'll know, because you'll be at peace with whatever decision you make. You know it's the right decision, and then you just take that path. If it doesn't work, it wasn't meant to work. It was meant for something else that you need to take. That's all it was. It was a learning that needed to happen at that point in time, and you wouldn't have learned that if you wouldn't have taken that path. So remember, his plan is better than all of our plans. You just got to learn how to get out the way.
You said something interesting there, John. I want us to kind of take a stab at that, Greg and Brad
Please.
as well. You said, you'll be at peace with that decision. I think a lot of the times that's what gets people stuck, is because they're looking for the peace before they decide to walk. They're looking for the peace before they decide to decide. And sometimes the peace ain't gonna happen up front. Sometimes you got to decide in a moment and get the peace later on. So I want to get your point of view on that. Like, when it comes to making a tough decision, when you're at a fork in the road, you don't know which way to go, you're afraid to make the wrong decision. What would you say to that person on how to establish the reality that they may not have peace in the decision at the beginning, even if they're doing all the right things and checking out the right cards? I want to know you guys' thoughts on that.
That's just a lack of awareness and clarity, because with the decision, just because you have peace or you're in search of peace doesn't mean you're going to stop discomfort from the decision you're making. So you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because let's say, for example, business is uncomfortable. You don't want to make the hard decisions. You don't want to let that person go. You don't want to have this conversation or whatever it is. But there's this glimpse of peace. Like, there's this tranquil thing going on inside you, that even though you have a discomfort because you don't want to do the thing, there's something else there's telling you that's what you got to do, and it's going to be okay. That's what we're talking about here. That's where the distinction is, right? It lives in that. It takes time to tune it. Many people go throughout their lives without being able to tune into that, right? That's why, if you notice, one of the things that we've discussed offline is in our WhatsApp group is being still, being able to listen. That's why. It doesn't mean that I'm going to say, hey, be at peace. If you're at peace with yourself, you don't have to do that thing. No, you still got to do the thing. You're not necessarily going to be comfortable with the decision you're going to make, but you're going to have to make it.
Super good. Love it.
What you guys
Brad,
think?
y'all got anything to add to that?
Please add or take away, whatever it is.
Let you go first.
Well, my heart's swelling on this one, because the situation that comes to mind every time we talk about making a decision and being at peace with it is 2013. I'm having a son with a lady that we realized we weren't made for each other. And to bring another child into this world, to go through all that drama and turmoil and chaos that our kids had to go through separately, and to deal with our selfishness at that time, I was not the man I am today. I made decisions that were centered around me and what I wanted. And her mom had decided that she was going to place our child for adoption. We didn't really have a say in it. And I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't the man I am today. I didn't have money or I didn't have the guts to fight back and fight for him. But maybe that was a good thing, because this family had been through the procedure 8 different times with friends that said they would give their child, and they changed their minds in the delivery room. And I just thought of how that family has to be feeling 8 different times about to get a child, and then the emotions kick in like they did for us in that moment. And they changed their mind on them. So she sent us through Gladney Adoption Center here in Fort Worth, and there was counseling, there was tuition reimbursement, all these things that we could take advantage of to help us through. And the whole time I struggled with, I don't give up what's mine. I don't run away. I'm not going to be my father. I'm not giving this child away. It's mine. And I think there were so many lessons in that. Like, nothing is truly ours. Our kids aren't ours. We can steward over them, we can guide them, but they're not ours. We don't have any control in how they'll turn out and who they were going to be. Our only job is to bring them into this world, and God does the rest. He's got them. We're just watching over them. But I remember struggling with the fact that, like, if I take too much money, like if a cashier gives me too much money, I have an option to be honest, right? And if I'm not honest, there's consequences, whether on the front end or the back end. Cash register honesty, let's call it that. But that's a decision between right and wrong. I can turn right or left at a light. That's a decision between, right or learn, right? But I'm choosing to place a child for open adoption. I'm giving up my child. I can make a case for why I can keep him, and I can make a case for why the family needs him. And either one is going to be right. So I just have to make a decision and be at peace with it. And I'll never forget, there was this man, Kyle, that said, what you're dealing with right now is ambivalence, because you can make a case for either way, and either way is wrong. So you just have to make a decision and be at peace with it. And I'm horrible at storytelling in this because I don't want to ugly cry on here with y'all. It took me a while to put this makeup on.
That was good. That was good.
But it's not every decision is going to be right or wrong, right? Sometimes you just have to make that decision and be at peace with it. And I love what Rod said. Like, it's either you're right or you learn something. There really is no wrong. We don't know enough to know whether something's truly good or bad, right? But we learn in the process. And Brad, you said, I felt like it was God telling me. You know, we hear that thing say, something's telling me to do this. God has a lot of nicknames, and something is one of them.
Yeah. That's golden. Golden.
Man.
Golden.
I really don't know how to follow up after that. What I was gonna say, what I was gonna say is kind of transitional. Something I used to deal with was fear of missing out, FOMO, people call it, and that'll drive you crazy because you're in your own mind from a decision that is has much less gravity, as what Greg just mentioned. But it's like, I remember, being young in my 20s. I'm like, I want to go to this party. I want to go to that party. It was like 4 parties going on. We're going to have to, like, how am I going to manage this? How am I going to get to all these parties, whatever, just stupid stuff. But the fear of making the decision on which one to pick and which way to go would have me so stagnant in some cases, or it would have me thinking, even when I did make a choice, while I'm making that choice, the grass is always greener syndrome. It's like, man, you know what I'm saying? I probably should have, I probably could have, I probably would have. And I had a lot of friends who spoke like that in other aspects of their life. And I found out how contagious that can actually be and how bad that can actually be. So having this discussion about making a choice, not really knowing at the beginning whether it's going to be fully good or fully bad, that uncertainty, I've learned to use that as a driver or a catalyst for the excitement to see what in the world is about to happen. And that's, I think, is the perspective shift. You make the decision and then you go forward with it confidently. Well, I don't fully know how this is going to turn out, but let's doggone it. Let's see. Have the attitude of, this ain't going to take me out. This ain't going to kill me. This ain't going to be the end of the world if I make this decision. But let me just follow this thing through just to see what happens. And then the outcome that you may have predicted in yourself, when it looks nothing like that, and when it's better, now you have an anchor to where the next time you're presented with this type of option and you're at the fork in the road and you may have fear of missing out, like I used to struggle with. Now you'd be like, well, I know whichever way I'm going to pick, I'm going to go hard in that direction. We're going to see what's what. Because last time I did that, this happened and it was better than I thought. Case in point, the whole thing with Tampa Bay, where I met you gentlemen. Then I did it again just like a couple months ago, like in April, when I went to Atlanta. Did the same thing again. And I had more faith doing it that time. I was like, I already did it once. Got an old
Brad,
car got over
for,
100. What's up?
for those that are viewing that don't know that story, man, tell a short story of what that is.
Oh, okay. It
Yeah,
was
what happened in Tampa?
true. Well, in Tampa, I made a decision to travel down there with absolutely no accommodations. Nothing was paid for. Not a ticket to the conference, not a hotel room, not a flight. I hopped in the car with a friend who said he was driving. It was the way opening up before me. And again, I was sitting on the couch and God kind of asked me the same question he did when I was about to go feed the homeless. So what you gonna do? So
Mm.
what you gonna do? And he's saying that knowing that he's got my back. But he's
Mm.
asking the question to get me to realize that he has my back.
Mm.
So now when I'm faced with a fork in the road or a decision and I got that fear of missing out brewing in my mind, or what if, coulda, shoulda, woulda, when all that happens, I remember he don't even got to say it no more. I hear him saying it from the past. I said, so what you gonna do? So what you gonna do? And when he says it like that, I'm just like, well, I know you with me, so let's see what happens. Because however I'm thinking can turn out, you can always change things for the better. And the same thing happened when I went to Atlanta. Went down there, man. I told my cousin like a week before I was coming, and it was a hypothetical. I said, could you give me a room if I came down there during this week? Because I know you got a family, and I don't know what your plans are. I don't want to intrude. So could you allow me to stay with you? Man, call me back in 48 hours. We got you at a hotel downtown Atlanta. Whole room for the whole weekend for free. And I'm like, what? I guess that's a sign. I guess I'm going. But I got a car with over 100,000 miles on it. It's 2011. And then my mind's like, well, man, if I get a flat, that joint don't make the trip, this, that, yada, yada, yada. It's like, nah, bump that. God's asked me what I'm going to do. So I'm going to get in the car. I'm going to trust him to hold the car together. Went down there, had a wonderful time, got blessed in more ways than one. And here I am back again. Now with two stories like that. You think I'm going to hesitate on the third time it comes around? Oh, now I got a fortification of faith. Now I got more confidence and more gratitude in every decision before I even make it. Bump the certainty. Why do I need that? I didn't have it before. But this is the lesson. For all those who are facing that uncertainty, it's a bear the first time you stare it in the face. But it's just like a mountain that you got to say, get up out the way and let's see what happens anyway. And adopt that mindset. This ain't gonna kill me. I literally have that mindset. When I was in undergrad, I crossed into a fraternity, and the last night right before we crossed over was difficult. And I had to tell myself in that moment, these brothers ain't gonna kill me. And when I adopted that mindset fully, the sun rose the next day and I was still breathing.
Is
Like I
that what
said.
you actually said? These brothers, or did you say these ninjas
Nah,
or
I didn't
something?
say I didn't say brothers, man. I said ninjas. Because ninjas was around back then. Yeah, I know y'all know that. So yeah, that's really what I said.
Listen.
Nah,
So
I had to do it.
Natasha was leaned in. I just had to look her up to know what I should call her besides the prophet strategist coach. She was leaned in on the story. So I wanted to kind of complete the loop because I feel like you got to see what the fork in the road turned out for my brothers. But the day that we placed that child in that family's arms was one of the hardest days of all of our lives. Greatest day for them, most emotional thing for us. And I don't want to talk about like the material stuff that happened, but John mentioned earlier, like God kisses, right? That was the moment where that was born. I knew about it. I had seen kind of God kisses in little things throughout the day, like God talking to me through the GPS or taking the wrong exit and meeting someone that is, integral to my path. But that day was when they started pouring in. I'm talking like I placed him in his arms, in their arms in faith. The same day as I was leaving the place where we did it, my mom's like, you've borrowed my car for 2 years now. We need to get you a new car. Meet me at the dealership. Now that sounds amazing when you have money and you have good credit and you have history of being able to get cars. But when every time you've gone to a car dealership, the story's been your credit sucks, you don't have enough money to get the car, something's wrong, right? You don't have enough, like there's something wrong every time. I go there, I'm looking for certified pre-owned Hondas because that's what I can afford. God's like, that's not what I said. The lady said, get what you want. And I'm over here looking for certified pre-owned. So when I go back in and I'm like, I'll take this little $6,000 this pre-owned. She's like, oh, that's not certified. Go find a certified pre-owned. It was her telling me, you've been upgraded, right? The universe has upgraded you. God has upgraded you. So I go back out there. And when I say this car appeared out of nowhere, black on black, leather interior, at the time 6-disc changer, which was a cool thing back then. We still listened to CDs.
Come on with it.
Sunroof, and it had maybe 60 something thousand miles, but it was mine, and I qualified for it, and I got to drive it off the lot that day. I have never in my life had that. The reason that came to mind is because my son is driving that, and every one of my kids has driven that car. I drove it for like 5 years. It got me back and forth to Richardson, 90 miles round trip for 2-3 years while I was building this whole story of From Waiter to Greater. That car has over 200,000 miles on it. I've never had a car go past like 120,000 miles, and everyone has gotten use out of it. I went over to help my son jump it off and get it running again. And he was like, yeah, the battery's dead. It's not going to work. I was like, bet. I came over there. I got it started. He's like, no effing way. Like, he said that. There's no way. I'm like, this car, this is a God kiss. It's not going anywhere. That was just one. It was a series of blessings after that. I went back to school. I got my associates. I had never wanted to do that or thought I could do that. And then just y'all know my story. It just keeps happening. Right now is probably the longest I'm going without seeing something. And that's a choice, right? Because I'm grateful I have y'all every week to remind me to be grateful, because I've slipped. And there's times where you will forget to look for and count the blessings in your life. Even when other people are catching on to God kisses, sometimes it's hard for you to see them because you're in the desert at that moment. So if a listener or viewer is in the desert right now, don't give up 5 minutes before the miracle. You're being shaped and you're being formed right now.
That's good.
Greg out here pouring out, man. I just have to chime in because these stories are reminding me of a couple things, and I would be remiss if I didn't repeat what Brad said and then what something you said, Greg. Brad, you said, I don't have to hear him say it anymore. Speaking about God, I can just refer to what he said in the past. And I mean, that was so potent because when you're training a dog, you have to establish authority. You have to make sure the dog knows who the boss is, who the leader of this situation is. And one of the ways to do that, and a lot of people mess up on this, they repeat the command over and over again, trying to get the dog to do the thing. But the dog doesn't respect that, because if you have to repeat yourself, then the dog is saying, oh, this person must not have authority over me. Let me just keep doing what I'm doing. I'll eventually come listen to whatever they're saying. But when a person with authority comes around, they give the command once. Wow. That's it. And they sit and they wait for the dog to do the thing that they commanded the dog to do. So when I train my dog and I tell my kids how to command the dog, I let them know, you don't say, come here 15 times. Come here, come here, come here. I hope you hear me. Come here. You don't do that. God doesn't do that to us. He clearly has authority. You tell the dog to come here and you wait for the dog to come, because the dog heard you the first time. The dog has to make the decision to come on his time. But if he doesn't come on your time, then he's going to miss out on the treat. He's going to miss out on the thing that you have for him. So that's how God treats us. If we listen the first time and we learn, I promise you, he's not going to repeat himself over and over again. If he does, that ain't the voice of God. But if he tells you to move and you move at the time and the way, in the direction that he has you moving, you cannot make a mistake. As a matter of fact, if something goes wrong, it was intended for it to go that way so that you can learn the thing that you need to learn before you get where you're going. All right,
Yeah,
y'all see, y'all got me amped up around here. It's hot in here. Y'all
Yeah.
hot? Woo! All right. So moving on to what Greg said, and I'm gonna let John talk. Man, I almost forgot what Greg said in that moment.
Hey, you on fire, man. Let it out.
It'll come to me when it comes.
It don't
But
matter what I said. It matter what God said.
no, it matters, man. We all saying some greatness, but I'll say this. You said something about kind of keeping your eyes, like when you sometimes it's hard to recognize what you're grateful for, what you have around you. We all have those moments. I would liken that to that scripture. It's in Matthew, I think it's chapter 14, where Jesus got off the boat in the storm and he's walking on water. And Peter is like, I want to walk on water, and he's like, follow me or whatever. So Peter gets off the boat. He's walking on the water. I'm paraphrasing for all you Bible scholars and theologians out there. Okay. Don't come for me. All right. Don't come for me. He gets off the boat. He's walking on the water. This is Peter. This is a man. This is not somebody who's tied in with divinity. He's walking on water. And he takes his eyes off of Jesus for just a moment and begins to sink. And he's screaming out like, Lord, help me. And so Jesus reached out and helped him, right? But here's the thing. When he was focused on God, when he was focused on Jesus, he was walking on water. He was connected. When we take our eyes off of the greatness around us and the blessings that we have and what we have to be grateful for, when we focus on our problems, it's easy for us to sink. It's easy for us to lose our balance and fall down. We have to keep our eyes focused. And when we can do that, you're not even going to notice your problems. You're going to be too focused on the things that's going for you. You know what I'm saying? So when you find yourself focusing on a problem, just refocus your attention on what you have. Refocus your attention on the fact that you can breathe. Somebody out here can't. You know what I mean? And I can list 18,000 other things. So refocus on that when you find yourself drifting, because otherwise you're just going to keep sinking.
Come on.
Plate around for the offer because mine is cooking right now. So I just put my whole wallet in the plate and I'm passing it around. So
oh man,
taking up all.
That's the plate. I love it. That was burst off of what y'all said, FYI.
So
good stuff though, man. It's kind of like what Greg said, man. It's a reminder. It's a reminder because you can forget. Life can come around and make you forget.
That focus, for me, really goes with obedience. It's not just focus, because see, Peter was able to focus, but he wasn't obedient. That's why he drifted. That's why he looked away and he started to sink. He wasn't obedient because Jesus told him exactly what he needed to do. He didn't maintain focus, but he also wasn't obedient. And that's what we tend to do. To your point, Rod, and I love the dog analogy because I love dogs. They have to know that the treat is there, right? And this is just adding to what you already said, which was perfect. I wouldn't change a thing. Just to add a little bit more to that, a little more color to it. As a puppy, you let them know that they have a treat there. You know what I'm saying? And it's that, to me, that's associated to those God kisses that Greg keeps talking about, right? That's like us being a puppy and he lets us know, hey, I'm here. It's going to be fine. Just go ahead. Okay. We get to a point, everyone, I don't care who you are, what you look like, it doesn't matter. Every single person one day will be in a desert. Just like Greg said. Okay. And my experience, I won't speak for anybody else's. My experience is when I was in my desert, like Greg said, it was because I was in the way. And I'm sorry I keep repeating the same thing, but it's just I'm passionate about it because it's a fact. Okay. Why? Because I thought I was important. I thought I could do it, the way I thought it should be done, because I know everything. And that's not how it works. So you got to be in the desert because only he can give you the water. You got to give him the glory. When you're too busy doing the thing and you believe that you can do the thing because you are the man, woman, or whatever, guess what? Desert. Why? Because then you'll understand who's providing for you. And as soon as that happens, now everything else that happens in your life, you start with gratitude, because you know that you was in the desert once and you can easily end up back in the desert. All right. So now you're grateful every day. And then you give God the glory because he's the one that deserves it, not you. I'm just saying. I wake up every day, the first thing, and I know it's the same with my brothers, the first thing we do every single morning when our eyes open up, or sometimes we don't even open our eyes and we're already saying our prayers of gratitude every single morning before our feet touch the ground. Why? Because we get a chance to put our feet on the ground. Come on, man.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. That's not that hard. Be obedient. Let's go.
It's
I'm
funny
so
that-
glad you said that. Sorry.
No, go
I love
ahead,
how
go ahead.
God, if you're not obedient, if you're not listening to God, he'll start talking through people. And if you don't listen to people, he'll start using animals. And then if you ain't hearing the animals, he'll start using inanimate objects. Well, I think you're speaking to me because you keep saying like what Greg said. And I know you're not intending to, like, you're not just like kind of poking me through the screen here, but it's the obedience. If you can't hear from God and you don't know where to go back to the last thing he told you to do and do it.
Yep.
Law of first mention.
Go on, man. And I'm sinking. I'm sinking because my ego has been inflated. And it's never been about me. It's not about me. God had to give me a new name in 7th grade that I thought was this cool acronym for something else for my rap name, but later found out through a complete stranger in a 12-step recovery meeting that it meant something completely different. And it was Gregory Wisdom, Individuality, and Zestfulness. Gee whiz. I thought I was so cool. I'm sitting in the meeting. She's looking at the tattoo on my arm. She's like, what does that mean? I told her and she's like, oh. I'm like, oh. She's like, I'm disappointed. How are you disappointed with my name? Like, you know how long it took me to come up with this? I thought I came up with this. He gave me the idea, but here's where it came full circle. She said, I was thinking something more along the lines of when I'm in Greg's will, I ignore zeal, but when I'm in God's will, I ignite zeal. So God had to remind me at 20 something and 13 and every time I see this name or someone calls me this name, get out of the way. He knew, he factored in my stupidity when he created me and sent me on this journey that I would always try to get up on this pedestal and believe I did something and take the glory that is not mine to take. And you just
alone,
came
my brother.
full circle, man, to remind me, get out of your way. I know it wasn't for me, but I'm going to take it.
No, it was for you. It was for you. That right there is the distinction, because you're not necessarily at peace with it. It can create discomfort, but you know it's for you because you're listening to it, and not listening to it with your ears. I mean, spiritually, listening to it, feeling it, right? You said, oh, I know it's not for me, but no. It's for you. It's for me. It's for Rod. It's for Brad. It's for all of us. We tend to get in the way when he has the way for us. It's just what it is, man. It's just what it is. Because we think we got the sauce, but all the ingredients came from him. He is the source. We are the resource. You see what I'm saying? Like he's everything. Come on, man. Stop it. What you talking
Yeah,
about?
that's so good, John. You look, but that it goes both ways. We think we have the sauce, or we don't think we have the sauce at all.
Mhm.
And on both ends of those spectrums, we could be completely wrong.
Oh,
You know what
yeah.
I mean?
Yep.
It's only when we're balanced in the middle, focusing on what we have above us and not focused on what we don't have below us, that we can actually balance that line and go down the path that he has for us.
Come on
You know,
with
so
it.
you could teeter on both ends of that seesaw and be completely wrong. You know?
That the cooperative effort that when we allow ourselves to be guided by him and we're in collaboration, that's when either sides of those that spectrum, like you're talking about, can be true. And it's usually the former, where we are all that, but we're only all that because we're in collaboration with him. When John mentioned the fact that each of us now, which I fully have faith in, before we wake up, before even when we open our eyes, we're giving thanks, we're finding stuff to be grateful for. I don't know the day when it started, because it happens in the morning and at night. When I lay down and I know the lights are out and I'm about to knock all the way out, before I let myself fall into that REM sleep, my mind is like, all right, what are 3 to 5 things I'm grateful for today? And I actively go back in the memory bank of the hours of the day. And I say, remember this, and I won't stop until I find at least that minimum. And I don't want them to be little things. Like, they could be little things, but I don't want them to be mundane.
Mhm.
And what I do is I practice expressing the full gratitude of that moment and how I felt in that moment, not for him, because he knows that, but for myself. So, for instance, that day when I had that interaction with that gentleman when I fed the homeless, that was the first thing, obviously, that came to my mind before I went to bed that night. So I was thankful that I gave him, not only did I gave him the shoes that he really wanted, that he had no idea that I had, but that I was able to notice through you opening up and giving me the awareness of his reactions, the before, the during, and the after, because all of us go through that.
Mhm.
And a lot of times that stuff is silent. No other people won't even take account of it. Sometimes we'll ignore it about that feeling before, during, and after. But it resonates so much more and strengthens the power of gratitude when you do recognize it. It's like, man, I remember that sucked when I missed out on that opportunity. And then the next daggone day, you send me this call that offers me this, and I don't even know where that came from. And now I'm doing this. To take time and relive that experience brings that's a part of your praise. Honestly, like a lot of people think that you have to, there are different ways to praise. Like and when I was growing up in the church, people running around the church, clapping and hollering and singing, I used to look at them like they were crazy. But then again, I didn't know what they went through.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the culture in my church anyway, to be that loud and boisterous, you know what I'm saying? But when I went to other churches, like a Pentecostal joint, and they was doing that, I was looking at them strange, because I was like, I ain't seen that. Plus, I ain't got nothing going on in my life to make me do that. But when you start becoming aware
Mhm.
of what to be grateful for, now you got ammunition to be like, oh, nah, man, this gonna be all right. This gonna be I might fly across seas and not have no accommodations. You know what I'm saying? Just to take it there. And why need I worry?
Don't fly across seas without
Well,
accommodation.
But you know,
ain't
but you
readily,
know
ain't
what,
readily gonna
Brad?
do that.
But Brad, don't go too far. Stay right there for a second. You remember the gentleman you met from Spain, and he was doing. Do you remember? And he was
Yeah,
doing what? He was flying cross seas,
yeah, with
no
no accommodation.
accommodation.
That's
What?
exactly right, John.
Come on now.
Wow.
Y'all are melting Rod's brain because he is a preparer and a planner.
Yeah, for sure. I'm like over here like, yo.
No. But
Yo, I don't even
let
know if I
Brad tell
told
you.
all y'all. I don't even
Come
know if I
on,
told
man.
y'all about it was like 2 or 3 years ago. This guy from Spain was living in the parks, like in like the small parks in DC. He was just sleeping on benches. And one of my friends who lives in the city saw him and invited him, said, you at least stay in my house tonight, man. You don't got to be staying out here. And he thanked him. And then he got to know him that night, and he started calling his friends. I would be in one of them. He's like, hey, man, we got this guy, Javier. who is backpacking across. He's just going to all the national parks. He started in like somewhere in the Midwest and just made his way over here. I don't even know how he got over here. He was hitchhiking, doing a bunch of stuff. He just living. And he's probably like 22 or 23 years old. When I talked to him and when he stayed with me, he was telling me the most amazing stories. I was looking at him with I was like, bruh, it's like, dog, when I grow up, I want to be like that. You know what I'm saying? He's younger than me. You know, and I still follow him on Instagram. He follows me, and I see he still does stuff like that, man. In Europe, he was
He's
doing
at the right age to do it too.
Yeah.
He's getting experience and all of that stuff, and he could still go start a job somewhere. You know, people do that. They backpack across countries and whatnot. You got to be ready for it, though. I'll be very clear. When I say ready for it, I mean like understanding what you're undertaking, because you're gonna sleep on some park benches. You're gonna be in the woods somewhere wondering if a bear gonna eat you. There are gonna be some situations that you have to deal with that's not gonna be pretty when you decide to live outside of comfort. You know what I mean? Because it's comfortable to plan a trip and save the money and buy a ticket and know where you're gonna stay. It's not comfortable to just be like, yo, I'm going to French tomorrow. I don't know where I'm gonna be. Let me just go. That takes some gall. So I'm proud that y'all ran into that guy, man. But he's gonna build some experiences and stuff with doing that are gonna like literally change his life and people around him for the better in the long haul. One last thing I want to say. Go ahead.
I would say, Rod, does it take gall or does it take faith?
That's what I was writing that down. I was writing that down.
Either or. I think it could be either or, because
I don't know.
You can have gall to do something.
I would say you can have courage to do it, or gall, like you're saying. But at the end of the day, if you ain't got no faith, if you ain't got a belief in the truth and the knowing, you can have all the courage in the world. That don't mean it's gonna go right.
No, 1,000%. And I'll double back on what you said and say you can have all the faith in the world, and that don't mean it's gonna go right. Like sometimes belief that something is going to go how you imagine it to be doesn't mean that's the right thing for you. Sometimes things breaking down and you losing something or you going through something that feels discouraging in the moment is the faith journey. It's what's necessary to build you in a way to get you where you're trying to go. We just don't know because our Father is all knowing, not us. You know what I'm saying? So I'm with you 1,000%, John. I think that the reason I use the word gall is because I don't know this young man. I don't know his faith, in God or in himself or anything, right? But I do know that to do something like that, it takes some courage. You know what I'm saying? But one last thing I want to say on that faith part, I think that all of what we're saying tonight, if you don't hear nothing else and you're watching this, you catching a replay, you watching live, whatever, I think it boils down to Proverbs 3, 5 and 6, where it talks about not leaning on your own understanding, but trusting God with all your heart. And, I was talking to my nephew recently about this. When you lean on your understanding, it's almost like taking a tall pillow and leaning on it for support and stableness in your standing. Like you're going to fall, but you're not just going to fall, right? Like think about leaning. Like when you really lean into something, you're trusting that this can handle your weight. You're trusting that this is going to support you, right? So if it's not a stable thing and you lean all the way into it with your weight, with that trust, you're not just going to fall, you're going to hurt yourself. So it's not just telling you not to lean into your own understanding for the sake of, just trust God and this happy cliche thing. No, it's saying you got to trust God with all of your heart, because your heart will deceive you if you trust in yourself and how you can handle yourself in the situation. And you're going to fall on your face. And when you get up, guess what you're going to have to do in the first place? You're going to have to go back and trust God with all your heart anyway. So you might as well do it the first time and not lose some teeth in the process. I'm just saying.
And don't be discouraged if you start late. It's okay. You still got time.
Period.
Any other final takeaways, Greg or John?
I want to hear from Greg because I see some gestures and movement, and I don't know where you at, brother. Talk to us.
Convicted, y'all. It's just like a complete stranger, actually two complete strangers, brought up Proverbs 3, 5, and 6.
Mm.
And this is the third time that verse has come across.
Mm.
And John is over here, like Greg said, through that whole episode, like God is speaking. And I haven't moved out of my way. You know, I'll say this for anyone listening. Sometimes you don't have to have a plan. You just have to show up. Think about all of the characters in the Bible. Stutterers, murderers, like they had all these issues and God called them, little old them, to do something big. He needs people that are not going to try and take the glory so that he can show his power through. What does it say? When I am weak, then I am strong. Right? He makes a fool of the wise with the foolish. And sometimes all you have to do is show up and do what he told you to do, even if and especially if it doesn't make sense. Right now, nothing I'm doing makes sense. But if you take God out of my story, and I'm sure this is the same for any one of y'all, if you take God out of the story, your life will not make sense. If you're trying to explain your life and the events that happened, and you leave God out of the fact, it's like, wait, hold on. This ain't connected. This don't make sense. How did you go from this to this again? Was it legal? Are you a magician? What are you doing? You're lying. That's what it is. You're lying. No. We got to get out of the way. And I think that's the conviction I'm getting tonight. And again, I'm grateful that we have this time every Tuesday for us to get together and hold each other accountable. And as y'all share your victories and the things you're grateful for, I can hear the voice of God through y'all. And I wanted to start opening up for our audience to start asking us questions or give us something that we can invite them into the conversation and kind of let them guide it as well. But that's another story for another day. I'm just grateful we have a lot of people that are chiming in. We're growing. That's all I got.
Absolutely. That's good.
Brad?
For myself, man, I keep it simple and plain, man. Forks in the road. If you got one currently in your life, try switching the perspective. Pick any direction. If you want to do the eeny, meeny, miny, mo, or flip a coin like Two-Face, you can do that. But whatever direction that you move in it wholeheartedly. And have that little bit of uncertainty for the adventure aspect of it. At least that's what I apply in my own life. I was like, am I living my life as an adventure, as something interesting? If I were to write down everything that transpired today and give it to somebody else, would they find it interesting or would they find it boring or mundane? There's something to be said about a risk taken. And it's been a popular phrase, nothing that you can achieve or nothing that you earn comes easily. There always has to be that little bit of skin in the game. There always has to be the risk. But know, as each gentleman has stated tonight, that you got somebody who has your back, whether you've heard him in a while or you haven't. He's still there. And if you're quiet enough in the morning, you'll hear him asking you silently, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And that question is not to make you jump to a conclusion or to launch out, unexpectedly, but also just to signify that, hey, you got somebody watching your back. Been watching your back for this long. Why would he stop now? In addition to that, always make sure, I got to express this again, because once you start to practice it, it's going to come across effortlessly. Before you go to bed and before you get out of bed, find 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for and really reflect on them. Go back to the moment, how you felt, the sensation, the feeling of it, and practice authentic gratitude and watch how your life changes.
Mm.
Pretty much all I got. But this has been a wonderful conversation yet again here at the GFB Clubhouse. It is Tuesday night. I was looking at the ticker, man. We had up to like 7 people join us tonight. It's a
Come on.
small
Yeah.
number, but shit, we starting somewhere, man. So we thank each and every one of you who has joined us in this conversation, those who've been participating in the chat, those from the House of Brand community and friends and family alike. We thank you guys for being here. We're grateful for that. Before we sign off, let us truly say that we are grateful for it. We love to see you in the comments. If you have any suggestions of any topics that you would like to hear us talk about, or even want to jump in and comment on, please leave that. We're definitely going to see it. We're definitely going to apply it. So until the next time we meet, which will be next Tuesday at 7 o'clock, we'll be back again for a full evening of gratitude. May the Most High bless and keep you.
Hold up. Did
What's going on?
did you give your final thoughts? Did I give my final thoughts? I missed it.
You did. You rolled right into it.
You
Surprise, Clay. I'm
fell
gonna take
right
off
into
that.
it. Yeah.
Oh, well, there we go. Read Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. That's my final word.
That's a fact. All right, y'all. We're gonna see you on the next go round. Blessings to each one of you.
Peace.